The black man had only $5 in his wallet for a blind date. At the next table, a single mother and CEO quietly watched his every move, unaware that this moment would change both their lives forever. If you're drawn to stories of resilience, transformation, and powerful twists of fate, make sure you subscribe now, because this is a journey that will leave you breathless. David Martinez sat alone at the corner table of a small Italian restaurant in downtown Atlanta. At 28, he was a freelance software engineer still fighting to prove his worth in a world that seemed determined to underestimate him. He had been waiting 20 minutes already, staring at his phone, praying for a message that would confirm his date was still coming. Instead, the screen flashed with words that cut like a knife. "I thought you'd be more different in the photos. I'm sorry, but I can't do this. My parents would freak out if they knew I was dating you." David read the text with a practiced calm. He slipped the phone into the pocket of his only blazer, a thrift store find he had ironed 3 times that afternoon. His hands didn't tremble. His shoulders didn't slump. He had endured disappointments like this before. Yet tonight felt heavier, crueler. Half of his bank account had gone just to cover the bus fare to get here. And now, here he was, with 5 crumpled dollars and a glass of water. At the next table, a woman delicately helped her young daughter twirl spaghetti. Camila Rodriguez, mid-30s, CEO of a tech startup worth $50 million, had faced her own humiliations years earlier as a struggling single mother. When her daughter asked why the man was alone, Camila's eyes met David's. What she saw was not pity, but recognition. Jessica, the woman David had been waiting for, hadn't ghosted him entirely. She was parked outside, snapping photos of him, sending them to her friends with cruel captions. "Guys, you won't believe this. The blazer, the bus. Imagine being seen with him." The laughter in her group chat became the soundtrack to David's heartbreak. When David rose to leave, placing $2 on the table for the water, Camila's voice stopped him. "Excuse me, you forgot this." She handed him a folded napkin. Outside, he unfolded it to find a business card. Camila Rodriguez, CEO in Novatech Solutions. A handwritten message beneath read, "People who keep their manners even when hurt are rare. You impressed more people today than you realize." David pressed the card to his chest. He didn't yet know this was not the end of his night. It was the beginning of an empire. At home, David couldn't escape Jessica's messages. "Did you really think someone like me would go out with someone like you? Go back to your neighborhood." He poured himself into coding, his one refuge, until exhaustion blurred the screen. But the card stayed near, glowing with possibility. Meanwhile, Jessica's cruel photos had become a joke among her friends, and one of them, a social media influencer, was already editing them into a viral meme. What Jessica didn't know was that the same evidence she weaponized would soon expose her. The next morning, David spotted Camila again, this time at his gym. She ran beside him on the treadmill with an ease that unsettled him. "Did you research my company last night?" she asked. He stumbled. "How did you know?" She smiled. "Because I researched you too. Orja Tech, 3 years running DM solutions. Volunteer apps for nonprofits. Pastor Williams wouldn't stop praising you." Her words struck him harder than Jessica's cruelty. Someone had seen his worth. Someone powerful. They moved to the stretching area, where Camila asked the question he had avoided for years. "Why are you still working alone?" David sighed. "Every job I tried, there was always something. Cultural fit. Communication. My presence in meetings. After a while, I realized it was easier to build my own thing. But truthfully, I'm lonely. I'm limited. Can code, but I can't scale. I can't grow." "What if that changed?" she asked, her eyes sharp. "Not a job. Partnership. Projects that matter. Projects that prove diversity isn't charity. It's profit." David's chest tightened. No one had ever framed his worth like that. And then, almost as an afterthought, he showed her Jessica's viral post. Camila's expression hardened into steel. "Interesting," she murmured. She documented everything herself. discrimination, defamation, privacy violations. Sometimes people hand you the tools you need to teach them a lesson. David didn't yet realize that Jessica's so-called triumph had already set her downfall in motion. By Thursday, Jessica's date fail post had exploded across Atlanta's feeds. This is why dating apps are dangerous. Poor guy. Know your standards. She reveled in the likes, bragging over lunch that she might become a dating influencer. What she didn't notice was the woman at the next table discreetly recording her words, evidence that would soon dismantle her career. That same afternoon, David's inbox pinged with an email that left him speechless. DM Solutions has been selected to develop the educational technology platform for the Atlanta Innovation Conference. Fee $50,000. Presentation Saturday 3 p.m. His hands trembled. He hadn't even applied. He called Camila immediately. She confirmed it. She had submitted his volunteer work as a proposal. David, you're presenting to Atlanta's elite. CEOs, investors, politicians. You've earned this. Now they'll see it. David was overwhelmed. But Camila wasn't finished. By the way, she added coolly, Jessica works at Hartwell Marketing. They've been bidding on the same contract. Their senior partner, Robert Chun, has zero tolerance for discrimination. And your screenshots are very educational. That evening, Jessica was summoned to Chun's office. He slid a folder across the desk. Inside, her Instagram post, legal analysis, client letters threatening to cut ties. You cost us the contract, he said coldly. And you humiliated a man who just signed it instead. Jessica's promotion evaporated in seconds. By the time she left the building, she had lost not just her job, but her reputation. What she thought was a joke had become her ruin. Saturday arrived. David stood backstage at the innovation conference. His palms sweaty but his spirit unshaken. He presented his platform with clarity, weaving technology with purpose, showing how inclusion could drive efficiency and profit. The room erupted in applause. Deals were offered before he stepped off stage. Meanwhile, Jessica sat crying in her car, scrolling through LinkedIn posts condemning her cruelty. Her viral fame had flipped into infamy. No agency wanted to hire her. David, on the other hand, walked into Sophia's school auditorium that evening, invited as Camila's guest. Investors and entrepreneurs shook his hand, praising his brilliance. Robert Chun himself congratulated him personally, unaware he had fired Jessica just hours earlier. As Sophia danced across the stage, David saw Camila's eyes shining with pride. For the first time, he felt what it meant to belong. 2 years later, David returned to that same Italian restaurant, not as a man humiliated with $5 in his pocket, but as a partner of Innovatech, driving his Tesla with Sophia shouting, "Daddy David." Camila raised her glass across the table. 53 contracts this year. Who knew humiliation could be so profitable? David laughed, thinking of Jessica, now waiting tables in a suburban diner, forgotten by the same world she once thought she ruled. Camila squeezed his hand. Our revenge wasn't destroying her. It was proving her wrong. And look what we built. Sophia skipped over with a drawing of 3 smiling figures in front of a glass building marked Innovatech plus DM Solutions. Our family, she beamed. David looked around at the crowded restaurant, at Camila, at Sophia. And he knew. The best revenge isn't hate. It's building something so powerful, so beautiful, that the cruelty of others becomes irrelevant. If stories like this inspire you, don't just watch. Subscribe, because the next story might be the one that changes you.